What is happening, everybody? MG here, MGCovers, bringing you a brand new sports handicapping video. Title of this video, very simple: learn from my mistake. We're going to reveal a mistake I made actually several times during the NBA season, show you what that mistake is, show you how I want to try to correct this mistake moving forward. Before we do that, as always, if you're watching this video for the first time and you're not subscribed to the channel, greatly appreciate you subscribing to the channel. Let's have a big year with new subs. If you want to learn about sports handicapping, it's a great channel to follow. You'll learn a lot by watching the videos. Obviously, I have a service that you can subscribe to, but I put out a ton of good content. So if you want to get better at sports handicapping, sports betting, great channel to follow. If you follow me on Instagram, give out a ton of nuggets. Gave out 2 leans last night for NCAA basketball. Both of those won in cash, so you get a ton of value simply by following me on Instagram. MGCovers, cover spelled with a Z. If you go into the description box on this YouTube video, you will see the link to subscribe on Instagram. So, all right, let's dive into this. We're going to talk about mistake I made in NBA. And the game we're going to look at is San Antonio and New York. This is from last night. Before we do that, and this is important, we're going to come back to this is my record for NBA. We started late wagering NBA, but found a really good tweak with the model. We're playing double-digit favorites via my line that have value at the sports book. We've had a lot of success with this. We're number one handicapper at my monitoring service. You can look at that ROI, 29% ROI. So we're playing some money line dogs to help that up 4.5 units, hitting 55%. So super, super excited. And we can actually improve on that because once you see this mistake that I made, very eye-opening. All right, so let's provide some context. So this was last night. Depending on when you're watching this video, you can go back and look at the box score. This was from January 4th, 2023. What you're looking at is my line. We had New York Knicks minus 16, San Antonio plus 16. So this was a double-digit favorite via my line. That means it's a potential play if we're getting value at the sports books. And you can see here, this was the line basically the whole day. It was New York Knicks were minus 9.5. So if you look at my line, that was what we would say a 7.5 point differential. No, 6.5. Is that right? Yeah, 6.5. 6.5, 7.5. I can't even add tonight. Differential. So it was more than 5. So we want at least a 5-point differential. We want to make sure that our line team is a double-digit favorite and we're getting at least a 5-point differential. In this case, we did. Now, as you know, what I'm an advocate of, and I learned this from my mentor, Bob McCune, is we want to wait as late as possible so that we can use line movement to our advantage. And what I mean by that is more times than not, sharp movement is late and it's subtle, right? So that's what we're looking for, and that's the reason why we wait, because we want to make sure that our wagers run parallel with the line movement, okay? Now, very fascinating. You can see here at 6:14 last night, the line was 9.5, all right? Look what happens at 6:26. Now, this game went off at 7:30, so it was about an hour. Exactly what I teach and what my mentor teaches, right? 9.5. Now the line moves to 10.5 at 6:26. So I immediately knew I could go to a book and get this at 9.5. So boom, I did what the closing line bros are big advocates of. You got to beat the closing line. So the line moved to 10.5. I'm getting it at 9.5. I'm beating the closing line, correct? So you can see there, I played it at 6:27. And it moved to 10.5, right? Well, here's the problem, and this is the mistake. That game did not go off until 7:30. So we still have an hour of wagering that's going to come in, right? And lo and behold, look what happened. Literally 15 minutes later at 6:48, once that line went to 10.5, it went back down to 10. So the line moved against us, right? And lo and behold, San Antonio covered this game. I think Knicks won like 117 to 114, but didn't cover. So, and if you're new here, what I teach is, and what I learned from my mentor, Bob McCune, the last movement, if it's late and it's subtle, is generally the direction that you want to be leaning on, meaning this line favored San Antonio because the last move was 10.5 to 10. Not this. This was not the last movement. So the mistake that I made was I played this too early. And so some of you say, well, what if the line would have moved to 10.5? What if it had moved all the way up to like 12? Well, we don't consider games unless we have value. So even if that line would have moved to say 11.5, we still had significant value and enough value to justify a play. So any game we're considering, we're able to absorb a half point of line movement or even a point of line movement, etc. And because we know that our model is solid, and we have the proof here with our record. Now, so again, so the mistake is I played it too early. You should go ahead and wait. Now, this is what is fascinating. We're going to go back to my record, and I made a podcast about why closing line value is overrated, and let me cover it real quickly here. Of these 17 losses, the number of games that we lost because we used line movement to our advantage, meaning like if the line was say -7 and the line moved to -8 and we lost that game because the team covered by say -7.5 and we had it at -8, the number of games we've lost, 0. Meaning like the games that we had negative closing line value, we've lost 0 games. Closing line value is extremely, extremely overrated. Now, this is fascinating. Including this game I just shared with you just now, the number of those 17 losses, the number of games that we've lost because we were trying to, quote, beat the closing line, I've lost 4. So just think, so 21-17, if I wouldn't have made those mistakes, those 4 mistakes, would have been 21-13, probably up, I don't know, probably like 6 units, maybe even 6.5, 7 units. So very costly mistake. And that's why the way that I teach this, if you're going to wait, and the reason people play early is to beat the closing line again. But once you make that wager, you cannot benefit from closing line value. And there is a ton of benefit in waiting. And I just showed you an example and just showed you proof there. We've lost 4 games this year because we played early and the line went in the other direction. So very costly mistake, something I'm going to be extremely cautious of and have more patience moving forward. Now, another lesson in all of this, the bigger picture is, if you continue to make good wagers and the model's good, you can still be profitable, and we're having a great NBA season. So even with those mistakes factored in, that's why it's important not to beat yourself up and just learn and have a good process. So for me, probably what I'm going to do moving forward, I'm going to write down the games with value, but I'm going to mark the time that the tip-off. So if a game tips off at 7:30, I'm really not going to probably look at that game till like 7:10, 7:15. So that's really good advice. So anyway, so if you want access to my power rankings, that includes these lines for NBA. This record here has come straight from the model. It's a 2-step process. Very, 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 very easy to handicap. There's no situational handicapping involved. 2-step process. Once you look at the model, there's one extra step that you're going to take. Access to power rankings, $49.95 per month. Gives you access to all my lines for all sports and also all my coaching videos as well. If you want access to all my plays, that's $100 a month. There's a link to join in the description box. The best value is to join for an entire year. You get access to everything on the site for $4.99. You save about $600 on a year. Like this video, and again, just remember, hey, if you're going to commit to this thing as far as like the benefit from line movement, just wait until the latest that you could possibly wait to see which direction that line movement goes and make sure your wagers move in that direction. Hope this video helps. Talk to you guys soon, and good luck. Peace.